Hey guys, in this video we are going to continue on with the Allied campaign that we've been doing. As you can see, we are on the end screen of the previous mission, which was the 4th mission in the Allied campaign. So from this screen here, we're just going to continue on, and this is going to jump right into the cutscene preceding the 5th mission, and we are going to go straight into the gameplay from there.
Good afternoon, Commander. The President and the European Council are ready for you. Please hang on while I put you through.
Commander, I'm glad you could make it. The European Council and I have been discussing an aid package.
It's a possibility.
The possibility of an aid package for the U.S. The nuclear attack on Chicago seems to have sparked their interest.
Do not think us indifferent to your situation, Mr. President. But for us, the United States is very far away.
Commander, the point is we've agreed to exchange Agent Tanya's services on this operation for soldiers and supplies from the Alliance.
Provided our conditions are met, I am prepared to take command immediately.
Now you just hold on a second, okay? This is my operation.
We all need leaders, Agent. No?
We have no time to train this guy, Mr. President. You want my men, you hook me up with my commander. And that's my condition.
Very well. If you're on board, Commander, and it looks like you've been drafted, the Prime Minister will give you the details.
The objects you see in the second photograph are Soviet missile silos. As you can see, Commander, they are a bit too close for comfort. I believe Romanov's intention is to keep us out of your war.
Our men will go nowhere until this threat is eliminated.
Take care of these silos, and this war may be close to an end. We're counting on you, Commander.
Establishing battlefield control. Stand by.
So this mission in particular is one of my favorites in the Allied campaign.
Battle control online.
This is gonna take...
Transmission.
Sir, be on the lookout for Soviet guard dogs. They've been released to sniff out our spies.
So this is going to take a little bit more strategy than we've seen up until this point. Needless to say, a lot of the campaign thus far has been pretty simple. And this isn't extremely difficult by any means, but it does introduce kind of the base level of some of the strategy that will be needed as the game gets, more and more in-depth. So this is one of my favorite missions in this campaign, which we'll get into later. But right off the bat, you'll notice that we do have a new unit that we haven't seen up until this point, and this is our spy. And the Allied faction is the only one with access to this unit. The Soviets don't have a spy or a unit that does that does the same thing. But if you kind of watch these guys for a moment, you'll see that they briefly flash into a blue Soviet conscript unit before kind of flashing back into that spy unit. So if you take these guys, what that means is that they're not disguised. So if they're flashing like that and it is your color, for example, if you're playing on a skirmish and you are yellow or green, and you've built a spy, and they are flashing as yellow if that is your color, or green if that is your color, and so on and so forth, that means you have not disguised them as the enemy player. So if you select these spies, and we just click, we hover over, and it's going to turn that cursor into the attack cursor here, and we just left click on this conscript, you'll see that now when it kind of hovers back and forth between the spy and the other unit that they appear as, that is now a red conscript. And we could do the same thing with any infantry unit for the enemy. So we can hover over this Tesla Trooper, click that, and then they will be disguised as the Tesla Trooper. So as far as the enemy can see, these just look like Tesla Troopers at all times. The only reason that hovers back and forth between the spy that you see there and the Tesla Trooper that you see right there is to indicate to you as the player that that is your spy, not an actual Tesla Trooper on the battlefield. But in any case, so they cannot see that unit anymore. As far as the AI can see, Those are just Tesla troopers. The only unit that the Soviets have that can sniff out the spy are the attack dogs. So if there is a squad walking around with attack dogs, and you have your spies disguised, the attack dogs still pose a threat to those spies. They will target the spies in particular and run up and eliminate them. So that is something to be weary of. They are still susceptible to those attack dogs, but aside from that, the enemy AI cannot detect that that is an enemy unit because we have them disguised. Now, just because of past experience on this mission, I know that there is the chance to get a couple of additional units to us, and the storyline goes that there was an allied plane that crashed, so there are some GIs that are randomly in the snow. As you can see, that if you discover that unrevealed terrain there, those will become available for you to use. And as we continue further on through this unrevealed terrain, going further north towards the Soviet base, you will notice that there is another opportunity to obtain a few more GIs in addition to these three. But we'll get to that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And for now, what we're going to do is continue moving through this unrevealed terrain towards the Soviet base. And when we get close enough, as you can see, we're going to see a defensive structure that we haven't seen up until this point. So this right here is a Tesla coil, and you'll see as I hover over it, it gives me that C4 option that this Tanya unit has. Now, if I were to simply run up to that Tesla coil and attempt to destroy it with a C4 charge, she would be killed immediately. I'm tempted to use one of my GI units to walk up to it just to demonstrate what that can do. Even though I don't really want to sacrifice him, I will just because. So if you have an infantry unit that walks up to it, that is the result. It essentially just one-shots that unit and takes him out. This is effective against tanks as well. It doesn't one-shot tanks in quite the same way. It may take 2 or 3 zaps from that defensive tower, but it is still a very effective defensive structure that we need to be wary of. And if we do click this tab up here in the very top right, Objective 3 is keep Tanya alive. So we saw this in one of the previous missions that we've done. I believe it was the second mission. There are missions where if Tanya is killed, you fail the entire thing, and you have to start from scratch at the very beginning. So we want to be very careful with her throughout the entirety of this mission. But as we continue on, you'll see that there are these barrels next to this Tesla coil here. And Tanya can fire at those without being in the range of that structure. So that is set up for us to be able to successfully take that out. And that conveniently also blows a hole in that wall that we can just walk right into this base with.
If you can get a spy into one of the Tesla generators, he can probably shut down all of the base's power for a good 30 seconds.
So as that transmission indicates, the spies have a number of uses here, which we will see. If I were to send one of them into this power plant, it would shut down the base power for it's either 60 seconds or 30 seconds, but in any case, that is very effective because that would shut those Tesla coils off, and so it would give Tanya a very short window, but a window nonetheless to walk right up to one and use that C4 charge, or your GI units to go up to it and fire at it as well. Whatever approach you wanted to take, shutting the power off would temporarily shut those down, allowing you to destroy them more effectively. So before we do that, I'm going to take out this barrel right here, and you'll see that when you do that, it reveals this pathway up here. And if you go into this unrevealed terrain, what we're going to find are more allied units in the snow here.
I'm on it. How about some action? Shake it, baby!
Thanks for rescuing us, sir. Our plane was shot down by Soviet anti-aircraft. There's probably more survivors around here.
Engineering.
So when the transmission comes through from these soldiers that you just found regarding more survivors around here, that is just indicating that there are some guys down here that you can go retrieve if you haven't done that yet. As far as I've ever discovered, I don't believe there are any more patrols out here that you can find. That doesn't mean I'm completely correct necessarily, but I don't think there are any more units you can find. I believe it's just those 2 patrols.
You got an order?
And they have that animation of that crashed plane there as well,
How about some action?
indicating that those units were in a plane that was shot down. And you can kind of save those patrols and add them to your squad here. In any case, what we're going to do before we do anything else is take one of these spies and we're going to demonstrate what it looks like to shut the power off. So I'm going to put him in this Tesla reactor here.
Where's the party?
That will shut the power off.
Building infiltrated.
You'll see at the very bottom of the gameplay screen, we got that power offline timer. So we had a little over a minute in this case. I believe it was a minute 5 with that power shut off. So that allowed Tanya to walk right up to that Tesla coil without risk of being killed. And she was able to use that C4 charge to destroy it. So we've only got 2 spies left. And our main objective, well, one of our first objectives is to get a spy in this battle lab. So you don't want to use your spies elsewhere. You want to save one to put in that battle lab. But we'll get into this a little later more as well. But these spies here, as you can see, if you hover over any of these buildings, really, they have the ability to go inside. So if you're playing in a skirmish, for example, and you've got more spies available at your disposal, without a campaign mission objective that you need to use them in a specific area, you can really use these for a number of reasons. So if I were in a skirmish game, an exhibition match, and I had constructed my base and decided to train some spies, and I was successfully able to get a spy in my enemy's barracks, what that would do is every single unit that I decided to build or to train going forward through the rest of the mission would be trained with 1-star veteran status already. So essentially that just upgrades all your infantry, and right off the bat as you train them, they have that 1-star veteran status. In the same way, if you go in the war factory of your opponent, all of your tanks are constructed with a 1-star veteran status already applied. So it essentially just gives you an upgrade for your infantry or tank units respectively, depending on where you choose to put your spy. Now you could also send your spy into the ore refinery, and that will just give you cash. Essentially that is stealing cash directly from your opponent and putting it into your account, at your disposal rather than your opponent's. But what we're going to do now is we've got these 2 engineers. So if you play your cards right on this mission, it doesn't do much for you because as you can see, or as you will see, you're essentially able to complete this mission with Tanya alone if you play your cards right. But we do have the resources here to begin taking over the Soviet base with these engineers. So if you take one of those engineers that you acquired in this snowy patch up here, you can put him in the Soviet barracks, and now you've got the ability to train more engineers. So not only do you have a barracks at your disposal, but you can train a few more engineers, and you have the ability to take over the remainder of this Soviet base. In the same way, we're going to put this other engineer into this war factory. And now we've got a vehicle tab. We just have a few basic options, but it does give you the ability to, create a couple things here compared to what we had before, which was nothing. So it does help a little bit if you choose to utilize that.
Training.
And I'm going to train a few more engineers just to continue going through.
On there. How about a target? Locked and loaded. I'm on it. On there.
And with Tanya, while I train those engineers, I'm going to simply go through and clear out some of these infantry units throughout this base, just to make sure it's safe to continue on with my engineers to capture these buildings. So, for example, with this engineer, I'm going to take over that oil refinery just because, and I'm also going to begin to take over these power plants. And just because I can also do this, I'm going to complete my first objective, which is to get a spy into the Soviet battle lab. And that is probably going to prompt a transmission here, which will explain our next objective to us.
Unit ready. Building infiltrated.
Show me the way.
Incoming transmission.
It looks like we're in. Our spies have infiltrated the Soviets' battle labs and relayed the specs on their silo locations. I'm ready to rock and roll, Commander. So let's take out those silos and head on home. It's getting a little chilly over here.
I'm resizing your radar to compensate for the nuclear missile coordinates that we just received. Stand by. New terrain discovered. New objective received.
So after you complete that first objective and you get one of your spies into that Soviet battle lab building here, that is going to essentially double the size of your map, and it is also going to reveal the locations of these nuclear missiles on the map, which the objective after that point, the updated objective, is to destroy those nuclear missiles. So just for fun, I'm going to continue going through and taking over this Soviet base here.
Building captured.
Show me the way, baby.
Tools ready. Checking designs.
And you'll notice that at a certain point, once I capture these power plants, their power will shut off anyway, just because they've got this Tesla coil here, and you do need power plants to... Oh, he might die. Come on. There we go. So as you can see, that Tesla coil, you no longer have that electricity around it, indicating that the power has been shut off due to the fact that I took out all of these, or I captured all of these power plants with my engineers here.
Examining diagrams.
Show me the way.
Training. New rally point established.
So I do have one remaining spy, and I don't have a use for him in particular. So what I'm going to do before I put an engineer in it is I'm going to steal some of this cash from this oil refinery. So I'm not sure if it'll be very much, but as you can see in the very top right corner of our screen, the resources, the cash available to us is 6,486. And if I put my spy in here, that should go up.
Looks like we're gonna need some more spies, sir.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Okay, it looks like it didn't go up. It typically should. I don't know if that's indicating that this base has no money or why that would be the case, but we don't really need it. That was more of... I wanted to do that more so for demonstration purposes, but it does reveal something very cool that I'd never realized before. I'm not sure how I'd never stumbled upon this, but since we used up all 3 of those spies, it did give us 3 more spies dropped off by helicopter over here. So I don't know if that's something that happens indefinitely, if you can just keep obtaining more spies and using them over and over again, or if you get a fixed amount of, extra spy drops or what, but it did give us 3 more spies here.
Yes, Commander.
Training. Unit ready.
And I'm going to train an attack dog just because now I've made myself curious regarding whether or not there are any more squads of units out here in the snow that you can stumble upon and gain control over. So it looks like... I really doubt that there is, because I believe I would have stumbled upon it playing this in the past. But an attack dog is a very effective way to explore terrain. And I think he's going to get killed. But an attack dog is a very effective way to explore unrevealed terrain quickly and without risking an extremely important unit. If you take Special Agent Tanya and explore, that puts her at pretty great risk. It doesn't look like there are any... infantry units that you can stumble upon up here, but I did kind of go through this canyon here, and there are some crates available to us that we can get.
Unit armor upgraded.
Okay, so that was just an armor upgrade, which doesn't do much for me for this attack dog. And that was health, which also doesn't really help me much. If it was money, that would have been cool. But it doesn't look like we've got much more available to us. That just kind of took us in a big circle. So I believe those 2 squads of GIs and then this one here of GIs and a couple engineers. I think that's all you can find in terms of stranded units out here that you can kind of take into your squad. So with that in mind, I'm going to continue proceeding with this mission here. I'm going to move Tanya to the other side of this base. It looks like I've got everything taken over.
How about locked and loaded?
Give me a plan. Underway. On my way.
And I'm going to move my spies out here. I do have them disguised, as you can see. I disguised them as Tesla troopers, so they are invisible to the AI, to everything except these attack dogs. So as long as I keep the attack dogs off their back, I really have no concern
Give me a plan. On my way.
Show me the way. On my way.
with them being killed. And I'm going to take out these Tesla coils. We really have no risk of them being able to pose a threat to us because I took over all that power. There's really no way for those to turn back on, but there were barrels there, making them easy to be destroyed, so we might as well take those out. And from here, we'll just continue going through this unrevealed terrain towards these bases up north of us. And we do want to be really careful, like I mentioned with Special Agent Tanya, exploring the unrevealed terrain, because if she's killed or if we are not cautious enough with her, obviously this mission is going to be failed and we're going to have to start over completely. But this first base, if you just continue up the path, going north of your position. Oh no, 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 no. Oh my goodness. Usually that one-shots people. I got extremely lucky, and that is a perfect example of what I was just talking about. If you are not careful enough and you send her into the unrevealed terrain, that is really risky. I got lucky. I'm not sure if it's because she has veteran status with 3 stars, or if she's just got a little bit more health because she's so critical to this mission, or why that did not one-shot her, but I am extremely lucky. It's very crucial for this mission as well to keep in mind that she can swim. So it looks like if we take her through this body of water here, we can take out these barrels, which is going to provide an opening through this wall here that hopefully we can avoid any base defenses that might be critical to her. We're going to be very weary of that Tesla coil right there as we do this. And there might be another Tesla coil, or even a number of Tesla coils further into this base. So we need to be very, very, very careful here. And it doesn't look like, yep, see, there it is. That's what I expected. This one luckily is surrounded by barrels, so that should be easier to take out than this one. We may need to find a way to infiltrate a power plant to shut off the power there or something with a spy in order to eliminate that Tesla coil. Which is going to be very difficult to do because there are these attack dogs here. So like I said, this is where a little bit of the strategy comes into play, more so than other missions where it's very simply just destroy this structure or, you know, this, that, or the other thing. That is still the objective for this mission, is to destroy both the nuclear silos. The moment you do that, the mission is a success, and it will bring you into the next one. Oh, looks like everything attacked me. Okay, so when I destroyed that first nuclear silo right here, all those units that were just patrolling back and forth, including the guard dogs, just began to charge at me. So that gives me an opportunity to sneak in a spy in here. As you can see, there are no attack dogs, which, as I've mentioned a couple times, is the only thing that poses a threat to your spy. So I can literally stand him right next to this Tesla coil, and it will not attack him so long as he's disguised. So I can walk him directly into this power plant, and that will sabotage the power of this base here for approximately 60 seconds, give or take a few seconds.
Show me the way. I'm on it.
Building infiltrated.
Yeah, baby.
Enemy
And with that
base
in
powered
mind, I
down.
can simply walk up to this Tesla coil
How about
and
a
take it
target?
out.
How
Now,
about
I
a target?
might be able to
How about a
get the
target?
other ones. I'm going to be very
I'm on it.
careful that I don't run too close to when that power is going to turn back on. But it looks like I'm going to be able to take advantage of that power being off
Yeah, baby.
in order to
Cha-ching.
eliminate the rest of this base here.
Locked and loaded. Locked and loaded.
Another thing to keep in mind, which I didn't even think about until now, the fact that I have these ore refineries that I've taken over, as well as this war factory that I've taken over, means that I can actually construct war
New
miners and
rally
begin
point
to
established.
mine this gold here on this map for myself to increase my resources.
Show me the
Like I
way.
previously mentioned, you don't need to do that, because even if you don't take over this base, or you choose to destroy that initial base rather than
I'm there.
infiltrate it with
On my
engineers, it really doesn't make a difference to
Moving out, boss.
completing
How
the
about a
mission.
target?
You can do this
Unit
with
ready.
On my way.
Tanya exclusively,
How about a target?
as you kind of saw there with the spies, and with Tanya,
Yes, come
we
on.
were able to take out this entire Soviet base right there. So you don't have to do this. You don't have to collect money,
Vehicle
but it is kind of fun to take over this base and start getting a little operation going here just because. But as you can see, we got these war miners now, which is the Soviet counterpart to
ready.
the ore collecting vehicle, and they're just going to start mining for me.
Agent, operation underway.
Show me the target. Shake it, baby.
Now, since that initial base is destroyed, what we're going to have to do is figure out the safest way to get into this other
Moving out,
base
boss. I'm
to
there.
take out that second nuclear missile
Moving out, boss.
and
I'm
complete
on
our
it.
mission here.
I'm there. I'm there.
So it goes without saying at this point that
Agent, ready.
every
Yes,
time you
come on.
select a unit, they will say something, and that whatever they say is pulled from obviously a menu of things that they're programmed to say. So that can get a little tedious, a little annoying sometimes. You kind of tune it out. At least I tune it out after I've played this for long enough. But you've probably noticed that every time I select Tanya, for example,
How about some action?
she's going to say something every time I send her. So if I left click, I want to send her right there. She's going to say something again. And so if you're moving them across the base and you're at a point where you're
How about
clicking
a
right
target?
there,
Move
clicking
out,
right there,
boss.
clicking
I'm
right
there.
there,
How about a
and
target?
so on, just to move through unrevealed terrain,
I'm there.
you're going to hear a lot of the same audio prompts repeat themselves
baby.
over
I'm
and
there.
over and over again. So it doesn't really bother me.
Show me the way. Shake it,
I'm not
baby.
sure how it gels
You
with
got an order? How about a target?
the audio
Give me a plan.
of me narrating this video.
I'm on
From the viewer standpoint, it doesn't seem
Anytime,
too
boss.
bad when I review this,
Give
but
me a plan.
Where's the party? On my way.
you do have the option to go into
on
settings and turn that off.
I'm on it.
I've found personally that maybe I'm just too
Show me the way. How about
used
a
to it,
target? I'm on it.
but I don't personally like
How
having
about a target?
complete silence from your
I'm
units.
there.
It seems weird to me,
I'm
but that
there.
is an option you have. You can
Shake
go
it,
in there
baby.
and completely play with
Shake it, baby. Shake it,
whatever
baby.
audio settings you
I'm
want.
on
You can
it.
turn off the music, which I've done. You can turn off the voices from your
How
units.
about a target?
You can turn off sound
out,
completely.
boss.
You can pretty much tailor it to whatever
Shake it,
gameplay
baby.
preference you have, based
I'm
on
on
your
it.
preference. Yeah.
I'm there. Where's the party? I'm there. Shake it, baby.
So I took Agent Tanya up onto this cliffside, but it's not a safe way to go into this base here, to access this base, because there are Tesla coils here with no barrels that are going to allow me to destroy them. So there's got to be another way in here.
Show me the way. I'm there.
And if you just kind of
On my
explore
way. I'm there.
around,
I'm on it.
the cliff sides here, you will find that there are more accessible ways to gain access to this base without risking Tanya.
Locked and loaded. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm there. Locked and loaded. I'm there. Locked and loaded. I'm there.
So these are the only other units that you can gain access to. Once you've gotten up onto this cliffside, you'll see that there are a set of 4 GIs and a 3-star veteran grizzly tank that are fenced off here, and if you destroy those petroleum barrels, that will give you access to these units here. You can choose to utilize those or not, but you can still complete this. Whoa. You can still complete this with or without those, utilizing those units entirely. I will say that this grizzly tank does make things far more convenient for you, because you can really take advantage, and you can drive him up to this wall. And you'll see with that 3-star veteran status, he's very effective at just absolutely dispatching this wall here. And you can pretty much just carve a path right up to this nuclear missile by taking out those walls. And then you can have Tanya walk right up to that nuclear missile and just take it out, and that will complete the mission. Now, if you wanted to take out the entire base, you can still choose to do that. I kind of like to do that even if I don't have to, just because I can. So if we're going to do that, we can still utilize this grizzly tank in a way that's very effective. We're going to avoid those Tesla coils. They're not going to be able to take out this grizzly tank in one shot by any means, like they can with the infantry units, but they can take him out in, 2 to 3 zaps. He's still susceptible to that base defense. We'll see this a little later as well, but another cool aspect of these Tesla coils is if you take the Soviet infantry options that are available to you, and you train some of the Tesla troopers, which are these guys here, you can place them right next to these Tesla coils, and they'll kind of begin charging, so to speak, those coils as the story goes. It just appears like they're zapping it, but rather than destroying that building, what that's doing is charging it up, and it becomes far more lethal, to the point where it can one-shot tanks, and essentially just become way more deadly to any force that comes up close enough to it that it's inside of that range. But we will demonstrate that a little later when we have the ability to do so. So as you can see, this grizzly tank, he does serve pretty well. He's effective in helping you just take out these base structures if you choose to do that, and he can carve through these walls very easily, making this essentially very simple if you choose to do it that way. We could have had Tanya walk right up to this nuclear missile, take that out, and just be done with the mission right then and right there. And instead of doing this, actually, I'm going to use him to continue carving through these walls here. And I believe this is the last remaining power plant they have. So we might find ourselves in range of this Tesla coil. Hard to say. Looks like we were able to get past it successfully. But I believe if we take out this last power plant, all these Tesla coils are going to shut down. That's going to allow us to have the ability to walk right up to him with Tanya and simply lay these C4 charges to take them out. So, yep, as you can see, all these Tesla coils lost their power. They are no longer lethal to us. We can just take Tanya right up to him and start getting rid of those structures.
Show me the way. Vehicle ready. Fire zone good to go. Closing in. Anytime, boss. Moving out.
Whoa,
boss.
no.
How about a target?
Whoa, that was almost a mistake.
Baby.
I'm not sure if I've gone over this as well, but if you have a unit selected, so for example, I've got Tanya selected here, and I move my cursor to this map, you'll see that on the map the cursor is green so long as that unit can go to that spot. So if I move to this spot on the map and I click, whoops, I'm sorry. So if I have Tanya right here, I have her selected, and I'll move to this map, left click, that is going to send her on her way to that spot on the map. So you could pretty easily send your units all the way across the map with a simple click if you utilize the map in that way.
Vehicle securing position. Driver up.
So we've taken out this entire base.
Destination, Commander?
For the most part. Once that barracks falls down, all we've got left to do is complete this mission in its entirety, taking out this nuclear silo. And from that moment, we are going to conclude this mission.
Primary objective achieved.
And that's all there is to it.
Mission accomplished.
So, our par time in the bottom left corner was 30 minutes. We were just above that at 35 minutes and 25 seconds. So our rank is second lieutenant. The generic message at the top: the missiles have been destroyed. Other Soviet missiles have been moved deep inside the USSR. So that is all there is to it. We were slightly above that par time, so that is why we received that message up top. In the next video, we will just continue on with this Allied campaign. But as far as this mission goes, that is all there is to it.